Good morning to you. It is just about 6:43 a.m. on the 24th of July 2020. This is your update on Tropical Storm Gonzalo. And to note, thoughts expressed in this video are mine and mine alone. And consult your local weather service for official forecasts and warnings. Now, have a look at the broad Atlantic and Caribbean picture. We're seeing several things we're taking note. Of course, Gonzalo to the southeast of the Les Antilles. However, we're also watching this complex moving off of the western African coast and pushing towards the west. We will keep an eye on that in the coming days. And also, we have newly formed Tropical Storm Hannah in the Gulf of Mexico, expecting that to move towards the Texas coast in the coming days. Taking a closer look at the broad picture, again, Gonzalo to the uh, southeast of the Caribbean, and watching, as I said before, this complex moving off of Africa and Tropical Storm Hannah over in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, the official forecast track has changed somewhat. Uh, Still expecting the system to develop into a hurricane in the next few days around Saturday afternoon. However, much of the forecast has the system remaining a tropical storm, uh, only becoming a hurricane as it approaches the islands of the Windward and Eastern Caribbean, Barbados, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, and the Grenadines. Maximum sustained winds are now still at 60 miles per hour. Not much has changed since last night. Uh, Expecting the system to continue pushing west at 14 miles per hour and a slight increase in forward motion expected later on this evening, moving the system closer to the islands of Barbados come Saturday morning. Looking at the water vapor imagery, system is looking much better organized than it was last night. However, still a bit fragile as it is with these small systems. They tend to wax and wane in intensity due to the influences, whether it be sea temperatures, dry air, landmass, and we have some of that influencing Gonzalo. To the north here, we can see this dark shading indicating drier uh, air to the north, pretty much incorporated in the African Saharan dust layer, uh, producing some drying effect. And Gonzalo has been ingesting some of this dry air throughout the night, last night and yesterday. However, we are seeing some evidence that it's trying to rebound and producing more thunderstorms than it was previously. Uh, on the west side of the circulation, we are seeing some evidence of thunderstorm activity firing up, indicating it could be getting ready to strengthen or strengthen rather to a hurricane as it approaches the islands of the Windward, Eastern Caribbean. Having a broader look at the uh, air mass influencing the system, we have Gonzalo moving towards the islands of the Caribbean here. However, to the north, we are seeing this area of rather dry air associated with the African Saharan dust layer, and that has been entraining into the system and causing it to flux in intensity uh, in the past coming days, in the past days, actually, I should say. However, expecting the system to begin to coalesce somewhat and strengthen into a minimal hurricane uh, as it approaches the islands. Another look here at the Saharan dust layer identified in the bright reds and oranges to the north of the system, and some dry air also getting ahead of the system, which has been hindering it from developing and looking healthy on satellite imagery. Looking at the infrared imagery, uh, as I said, cloud tops indicated by the reds and oranges, whites and pinks. The higher cloud tops being blacks and whites and pinks. The higher the cloud top, the stronger the storms, and thereby stronger the system itself. From last night, we were seeing how the thunderstorms were not forming around the center and leading to some weakening in the system. However, throughout the night last night, we have been seeing this area to the north and west of the eye, which is just about 10 degrees north in this area here. So we're seeing where thunderstorms are firing not only to the south but to the north and west around the center of circulation, indicating some strengthening likely in the next day leading tomorrow. Current warnings and watches issued tropical storm warning for the island of Barbados, also a hurricane watch for Barbados as well. Uh, Tropical storm warnings in effect for St. Vincent, St. Lucia, the Grenadines, while tropical storm watches in effect for the island of Tobago and Grenada. Now, current GFS forecasting models show the system moving towards the islands of the Lesser Antilles come over the weekend. However, like I said earlier, this area in brown indicative of dry air mass to the north of the system, expecting that to continue pushing ahead of Gonzalo, thus limiting development somewhat. However, expecting the system to strengthen to a minimal hurricane uh, come Saturday as it approaches the West Antilles, crossing into the Caribbean basin. However, as it does so, the dry air will begin to wrap into the system from the west and thereby weaken it down to a tropical storm after crossing the islands. Also, to note uh, as we move forward in time, expecting much of the steering flow to the north of the system uh, is expected to keep the system moving towards the west, slight north of west towards the Central Caribbean basin, and also a trough system opening up to the north and east, expecting to pull the mid-level circulation a bit towards the north, while the lower level circulation expecting to continue moving towards the west. And this separating of circulation throughout the levels will also weaken the system, as we would want for tropical systems to have a stacked circulation to maintain strength. However, if the circulations at different altitudes or height above sea level vary in the distance, then the system will not be as healthy and more likely will deteriorate. Looking at some of the models here, some of the final models. The HRF model has the system strengthening to a hurricane as it approaches the island of Barbados and the West Antilles over here. However, not expecting it to strengthen past a category 1, maybe a minimal category 2 as it crosses the islands. However, this model should note that it has a system re-strengthening somewhat, though it is still uncertain how much it will re-strengthen. Another model, the GFS, also has a system pushing towards the island of Barbados and the Lesser Antilles. Here at 994 millibar, the lower the pressure, the stronger the system. However, as the system crosses the island, expecting that pressure to begin to rise, thus indicative of a weakening tropical system in the Caribbean basin. The models have been in general agreement that the system will move in a general direction of the southern Windward Islands, crossing between Barbados and Trinidad and Tobago, entering the southern Caribbean. However, after that, the models have been in some disagreement as to where the system will end up. It could remain in the southern Caribbean, while it could push towards the north and west and affect the island of the Greater Antilles, Hispaniola, Jamaica, and possibly Cuba. However, to note the intensity, the models have been in agreement since last night that intensity may fall and the system could fall apart as it crosses the Caribbean Sea. The models here in agreement that the system should remain a tropical storm of much of the period up to about 84 hours from now. However, some models have the system increasing to category 1 strength, while a few outliers, probably erroneous models, having the system getting up to category 4, just one model, I should say. However, that is unlikely at this time, as I said before. Dry air interaction with land masses of the Eastern Caribbean and the decoupling of the circulation at different levels will work to limit the development of the system. Tune in next for an update. Next update should be around 8 p.m. tonight or around 5 a.m. tomorrow.